Hey guys, this is the FPA Tips team and welcome back to another live stream. We're back with the preview for Game Week 3. I know we're a bit late, but obviously there is a lot of questions that need to be answered. There's a lot of talking points this game week. But yeah, first let me welcome my co-host. Hi Akhilesh.
Hey guys, one more game week in the bag, and next game week is just coming quickly, and third Friday deadline of the season also. So yeah, and quite a few talking points this week. There are like a lot of people who have two transfers in their to spend, and a lot of players in the market who you could look at and buy. And all of us have like a lot of good fixtures to look at. So let's directly dive into it and look at it one by one.
Yep. We have a lot of things on the agenda for people who are interested. We will talking about defenders, especially Gabriel, James, and Stones. We have a lot on midfielders, specifically Salah and the United midfielders. Also, touch upon the Arsenal midfielders, and obviously the forward section is going to be discussed in depth because that's a big talking point this game week. Okay, let's start.
Yeah.
Let's start with the midfield section. If that's, I think that's a good way to start this podcast.
Yeah.
A lot of people are interested in the midfield section. A lot of talking points there. Uh, yeah, let's. You want to take up this one first?
Yeah, we can go ahead directly. First, let's talk about Salah. And like now that the Bournemouth fixture is behind us, what it means for Salah, for Salah owners, whether like they need to continue owning Salah or like use the funds which is there in Salah for elsewhere. So firstly, let's discuss that. Most of the Salah drafts at the beginning had Joao Pedro as an enabler, which helped you to get Salah, right?
Yeah.
And now that Joao Pedro was benched last week, we'll come to Joao Pedro in deep little later. But just talking about him being benched last week, and now people looking at alternatives. And Visa is just is 6.1 now, and not too many people might be able to afford him also. Like from 5.5, you need that point 0.6 somewhere. And to go to Jackson, to go to Watkins, you need more money. So mostly it's either by downgrading Salah or downgrading one of the United midfielders. For now, let's start talking about Salah. Uh, it, Pretty decent first two games. I don't think he was to a level where he has to be held. He has to be in your continuing to be in your team. If you look at the heat map between Salah and Diaz, uh, Salah is pretty much more wide, and Diaz is the one who's got into the box. The stats also says the same. So Salah is 0.72 non-pen XG and 0.42 expected assists, and while Diaz is 1.26 non-pen XG and 0.27 expected assists in the first two games. So it's clearly that the Diaz is more central. Diaz is more of a goal threat from the small sample size of the first two games. Diaz has also had more shots in the box. Salah obviously had two shots in the box with a penalty only, and you can see that Diaz has more touches in the box, and that means that is just like what I've seen from Liverpool, and you can also see directly that Jota is also someone who's had those shots in the box, and Salah is someone who's still little more creative, even though Nunez is not the striker over there. Um, Unless Gakpo plays as the false number nine, I think more or less Salah will be the primary creator of the team, and that could affect his goal threat. And when you have players like Diaz, players like Foden, who are there for the taking and a lot of points, and they are like significantly cheaper than Salah, which we've repeatedly looked at even if
I think some network issue with Akhilesh, but yeah, maybe we'll wait for him to get back. Yeah,
am I back?
yeah. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, just looking at someone significantly cheaper than Salah to go away, like Diaz, like Foden, and using that funds to maybe upgrade Joao Pedro to Jackson, and also in a couple of weeks, Trippier will be an option. And now today also we got news that Jesus is back in training,
Yeah.
so Jesus could again also become an option at the forward line. So probably is the time to go away from Salah, and Liverpool fixtures are not the best also to go with in this week. So that's where I am with like looking at Salah at this point. He was not in my team, but At this point, for people, like, a lot of people would be debating whether to remove him or not. What do you
Yeah,
think?
and this comes from a Liverpool fan to put in perspective. I mean, we still have some sort of biases towards Salah in terms of normal. But if a Liverpool fan has been closing watching Salah, and I think that really swings it for me as well. I personally was always on the sell side of Salah. I was not never a fan of paying 12.5 million for a guy who I mostly won't captain, and that is why I don't have Salah. I think if you have Salah, it's a good week to sell him. That way, you can upgrade two positions. You can upgrade your Archer position or your Pedro position, and you can downgrade Salah to another midfielder, which is probably the hot topic this game week, because there are a lot of midfielders now approaching to a point where they are genuine options, and the fixtures turn around very good for them. So yeah, I don't think Salah is a hold. I don't think if you have Salah, you probably want to just sell him off this week, use the fund somewhere else, and not
Yeah.
really worry about it too much.
If you could take it to the fixtures also, as you touched upon captaincy, I mean, when you got Salah at in game week one, obviously it was to justify the one point to justify is that Salah as a captaincy shout in game week two. But now with City having Sheffield United away, Fulham at home, West Ham away, Nottingham Forest at home, it's just like eyes closed. Haaland is going to be your captain, and exactly spending so much for Salah is not going to be justified.
Yeah,
And so now let's look at if you want to remove Salah, then who? And I think for now Foden has put his hand up. Uh, exactly for the same fixture also coming into consideration, because Sheffield United away and Fulham at home are two fixtures where you can see City probably scoring 3-4 goals. They are the two worst defenses in the league as well. If you can bring up the team stats up, they are probably the two worst defenses in the league out of teams which have played
yeah,
two games. So not including Luton and Burnley, but out of all teams which have played two games, they're the worst defense in the league, and they're also not a great attacking team. So it's all going to be City dominating, and what happened in the Newcastle match, Foden is just demanding the ball. Foden wants to be on the ball. Foden wants to uh, play those passes. Foden also has got in the box a few times. He has 4 shots in the box, and that's like, so basically him being the primary creator also doesn't mean that his goal threat is not going to be less. His goal threat is also going to be there, I think. And Foden is probably the second most appealing attacker after Haaland in that City team, and someone with a nice downgrade of who frees up 5 million in your bank is someone worth looking at.
so firstly, is apologies if you guys find the table too bright. Sorry, guys. Last minute fix to that. But I have certain points on Foden because I'm in the same position where I can get Foden, and I'm looking at Foden, but I'm not very confident, and I'm slightly hesitant to get him. My two reasons to not get him as of now: I took the Jackson plunges so far, but not the Foden one. One, the goals distributed at City is too much. So even if you're like looking at Sheffield United versus Manchester City or Fulham versus Manchester City, if they are creating chances, it's down to Haaland, and he'll be the maximum goal contributor. You will get an assist here and there, but the goal scoring opportunity still falls for Haaland. So maximum contribution still to Haaland. Secondly, if I can somehow bring the midfielder table back, which is here, he's created chances. I think Foden had 9 chances, but when you look at big chances created, it's zero. So it's pretty much very low quality chances coming out from the wing. Another point that I want to point out: previously versus 3 matches versus Sheffield, or in fact 4 matches versus Sheffield, City have played like a 3-2-4-1 formation, which they played Bernardo Silva tucking in and Foden on the wide wing, because that's how they like to. It's sort of an interchangeable role, obviously, but again, there could be a scenario where he against Sheffield, where we are tempted to get him, we're looking to get him, everyone wants to get him. He's pretty much playing wide as well. So I'm just contemplating the fact, should I get him for like a Manchester United attacker who's playing Nottingham, and take the chance due to the fixture, or let it go and maybe play. And it's also because of the goal involvement. I know if United score 2 goals, Rashford will be involved for sure. But I can't say the same for Foden if City score 2 goals. That's the debate that's
Yeah.
happening in my head at the moment.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, fair enough, because when it comes to a Salah replacement, I think Foden is probably the first. But when it comes to any other player, I mean, currently in my team, I have Bruno, I have Rashford, I have the two Arsenal mids, Saka and Martinelli, and all of them failed to like disappointed last week, and a lot of people are questioning them and whether they are good assets going ahead. It is a little tempting to remove one of them for Foden, but I think if you have those midfielders, you should just be strong. For one reason is that you're removing a very good midfielder who has historically performed great against a good defense, who you can target at home, and all of them are great performers at home. So it's really something you're actually taking, you're taking a punt against, which I really don't like. You're wasting a transfer to remove a good player to a good player. Maybe next week, once when they all face each other, that's a better time to remove one of the United mids or one of the Arsenal mids or Foden than now. But let's also dig in a little deeper into the United and Arsenal mix. First, let's start with Bruno. Bruno is out, like he's been the biggest underperformer so far, and we saw last week how involved he was, and he's had seven chances created, two big chances created, three shots in the box, one big chance. And so he's pretty much been involved in most of it so far for United, and probably with Mount's injury, Ericsson will be playing in the United team. So probably Bruno will be more attacking. Bruno will be much more attacking than Ericsson, like we saw last season. So I kind of like that fixture as Nottingham Forest home for Bruno Fernandes, and also little more long term. I see myself removing Rashford before Bruno Fernandes, or even a Saka before Bruno Fernandes, because Saka without penalties is not so appealing for me. So that's where I am with Bruno. And with Rashford, again, I think he's had seven shots in the box and he's just not clicked so far in that number nine role. And with probably Hoyland coming this week, I don't think Hoyland will start, but I guess I hope to see a change in Eric Ten Hag's system, because Rashford is clearly so much better from the left wing. So that's where I am. I think I would like to wait and watch where United are. I think you'll have a better showing from, they'll bounce back from that bad outing against Tottenham last week, and I see a couple of goals or maybe 2-3 goals in this game, and I think they'll comfortably win this fixture. And
So,
where I expect Bruno and Rashford to be involved as well.
I agree with the Rashford Bruno point. I think to like the point where Rashford is probably also a priority sell to me than Bruno because of what Bruno has been doing on field. He'll probably be given more license to attack, and like he's on penalties. But again, Arsenal mids before United mids is something I'm considering as well, especially for Martinelli. Now Jesus is back again. Trossard will rotate with Martinelli around 60, 65, 70 odd minutes, and it doesn't. Both Saka and Martinelli don't look exceptionally heavy on stats. They've done decent, but subpar so far. I don't see something which is too great. Again, now bias could come in next game week when they play against Fulham, and they would have exceptional stats against Fulham. But that is what you expect out of them. Is it something not normal? Is what I'm thinking. And maybe Martinelli is a priority side to me over Saka, but that's pretty much because I think Saka will still continue to take penalties sometime, and I would like to address this. A lot of people had these questions. This question specifically, that what is the situation of penalties at Arsenal? As far as I know and as far as I've been reading, Arteta said that it's depending on to the players. They want to shuffle it around this season because they missed a couple of penalties last season, and I wouldn't be surprised if Saka, Odegaard, and Martinelli keep switching it up, or maybe Saka, Jesus, and Odegaard keep switching it up. So I don't think it's anymore about chasing the penalty taker from Arsenal. It's just about getting the player who's getting inside the box a lot more and taking more shots. And as of now, neither of them are taking those shots. But I expect Martinelli still to be on top of that, and Saka to play more minutes. So that's a call that we need to take next game week. But it's the same dilemma. I don't. But that's the point. Arsenal are still looking better than on paper than United. We are expecting a comeback from United, but as of now, we know Arsenal are still clinching, winning games, and that is why it's probably a much easier sell for me for Rashford this game week. I'm holding Bruno if I have to, if I'm under the radar. If I have to sell someone, it's Rashford, and only because of the chances created by Bruno and penalties under Bruno. And the next game week, one of Martinelli or Saka will also leave my team, I guess.
Arsenal, I think, are adding a whole new rule in the history of FPL rules,
Yeah.
which is the penalty rule, I think. You don't know who's going to take penalties. But coming to Martinelli, I'm like, if you have seen the previous streams, I've always been bullish on Martinelli because I really think he is very direct, and I really like that part about him. But so far this season, he's had only 2 shots, and his non-pen XG in both the games put together is 0.11, which is really not promising. And that again comes back to the point that when Enketia plays, he's just far more central, and Martinelli doesn't get to be so direct. And at the beginning of the season, when Jesus was there and Jesus was in so many of the drafts, I was actually feeling more confident, and I was happily having Martinelli in my draft at that time, purely because that's when Martinelli will get more chances. So if Jesus does get back to the team, I don't mind waiting. But anyways, it's mostly this Fulham fixture which I would like to wait and see, and I'm not going to remove Martinelli anytime before this Fulham fixture. Even though Foden is appealing with the Sheffield United away fixture,
Yeah. So
but I can see myself removing any of the 3 or 4 midfielders, and I really don't know who I'm going to remove. Probably at this point, Martinelli is ahead of the list, ahead of Saka and Rashford. But come the end of the week, I think it could change.
and that's where I want to draw your attention because I've compiled stats between Saka, Martin, and Odegaard, like not very conveniently, but when you compare in terms of shots, Saka has like 6 in comparison to Martinelli's 2 and Odegaard 6 again. And when you compare shot inside the box, Saka had 5, Martinelli 2, Odegaard 2. Even in terms of XG, I think Odegaard has done decent. That's also because of the penalty. And for big chances overall, it's pretty much very low. Odegaard had 1 big chance, I think, because of the penalty. But Saka looks like the guy who's taking most shots. Obviously, those are low XG shots. He's compiled 0.39 XG of 6 shots. So obviously they're very low XG shots, and they've been outside the box as well sometimes. But Martinelli looks like the slack guy at the moment to me because he's the one who's definitely on minutes rotation risk. I wouldn't be surprised if he's rotated just out of pure tactical reasons next game and Trossard starts. Or maybe even Enketia starts in an up top too. So we don't know that either. Arteta could be exploring that option too. And that is why I think it's pretty much Martinelli for me as a sell, and then keep Saka. But the bigger question obviously is you can't sell them against Fulham. So this game week, if you are looking at Foden, you probably still have to either go Rashford or Bruno downgrade, and the next game week you can look at Martinelli for someone.
I'd like to see that first. I'd like to see Martinelli getting benched first before.
But the minutes
Like
rotation is
I know
always still
his
there.
minutes rotation is there.
Yeah.
He's probably a 70-minute, 80-minute man. But I'd like to see him get benched and Trossard starting ahead of him before jumping into the conclusion that because I think he's pretty much first choice and he's very important for the Arsenal team. And when it comes to the XG, I think Arsenal in the first 2 games have not created too many chances as an entire team. Their XG in the first 2 games has been quite low, and I expect that to change when it comes to Fulham home. It's like next week when we have the same conversation, it's going to be probably going to be a whole new discussion because Fulham have conceded almost 6 xg in 2 games, and this is a game where they'll probably concede another 2.5 3 xg,
Yeah.
and Arsenal might score 3 4 goals, and everything might be different at that point. I think I also like the fixtures of Arsenal after the United game ahead. I think they have 2 home games against United and Spurs. Then they have Everton in the middle of that, and they are decent fixtures where uh, your Arsenal assets will score. So I'm not going to force them out of my team. I'm going to wait and watch. I'm going to see which one probably is going to be the right player to remove. And I see myself removing one of these players next week, in my team, which also adds Jota into the mix. And I'm not sure how often he's going to start now because with McAllister's red card being called off, I sense that Endo, McAllister, and Soboslai will be the 3 midfield, and Gakpo might play the false 9. That leaves Jota and Diaz to playing in one spot. So that's where I am. I might remove any of these 5 midfielders to an Mbumo or Foden next week.
But okay, let's just quickly answer one of like obviously the burning question here. If you have to remove one of the guys for Foden, Rashford or Bruno, who's your sell
This week,
this week?
no way. I'm not going to remove anyone.
No, but if you are,
I
let's
don't
say you
know.
are put under the bus, you have to. Let's say you want Foden because obviously it is a lottery ticket. You want to buy that lottery, and you
Yeah.
expect like City to score at least 6, 7 goals against Sheffield, and Foden could be involved in a couple of them. Who would you sell if you
Yeah.
were down there?
Probably Rashford for two reasons. One, Bruno is looking better. Two is I have more 0.5 million more, which I can use elsewhere.
But that's also considering Rashford will play on the wing this game week and not on the center. It's either Sancho who starts
I
up
don't
there
know
and then
that. I
Holland.
don't know that. From what
But
I know for now, I would take the decision of Rashford winning. I mean, unless tomorrow in the press Ten Hag says that I'm going to play Rashford as left winger, I'm probably gonna remove Rashford.
I think irrespectively, I do rate Nottingham this season. They've tried to defend decent. They've signed Montiel as well. I think he'll directly jump into the team. I think he plays
Yeah.
right back, so
Hmm.
he'll be up against Rashford. I think he's a decent player to play against, and I rate Nottingham. They're doing the defensive duties decently when you look at the defensive data as well. Overall, out and out, I'm going to hold on to the penalty taker. So Rashford will be out if I'm selling someone. And then next game week, I will look back again, obviously at Saka and Martinelli, but I wouldn't be too surprised uh, to if they're going out of my team next game week. Also, just another layer to this question: uh, should really someone sell? For people who are asking Salah to a Foden or Mbuemo, let's address that first. I think Salah to a Foden is something I would do first, and I'll take that up because Crystal Palace are defensively decent. They're about third in terms of XG conceded overall in the league so far, and they look decent in general because they're not conceding chances, let alone low XG, but they've not conceded big chances enough, and they look like a solid defense. When it comes to Crystal versus Brentford this game, I don't think it's going to be high scoring game for Brentford. I think it's going to be a deep block against Crystal, and it's going to be a tough match to play. If I was buying someone, then Foden would be my first choice this game, and then you can look again at Wissa or Mbuemo next game week. That's where I am at the two questions.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree with you on that point.
And
If I were to sell Salah this week, it would be for Foden. If I were to sell Salah next week, then probably it would be for Mbomo. But yeah, I would lean towards selling Salah this week.
and overall again, would you sell? Would you get Foden at any cost this game week or not?
Not
Which
at any cost.
not
I
at any
mean,
cost.
with the way my team is, I'm not gonna bring him in.
No, in general,
I'm
let's say
lining towards not bringing him.
someone has the template midfielder Saka Martinelli. Let's say they don't have Buemo, they have Rashford, Bruno. Let's say those four and like a fifth midfielder who they don't want to remove. Would you take a chance of getting Foden through in this team?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that because I like two Nottingham Forest home, two Fulham home fixtures, and as I have told before, I think it's removing someone who's playing who has a good fixture at home to get another player who has a good fixture, and that's just a waste of a transfer. You're burning a transfer. I think next week when the fixtures get bad,
But
that's a
again,
better time to move on to a player.
it's not that bad because you'll getting Fulham as well. When next week, irrespectively, the one of these four guys will have to go from our team, if not at least two.
But I'll have more information on which one I'm like surely gonna remove. I'm not confident. Or probably at this point I'll probably remove Martinelli, but I'm really not sure. You can't remove Martinelli ahead of Fulham also. It just doesn't sit right with me. But when you see Arsenal midfielders having Fulham at home and removing them ahead of that, and when you see United midfielders having Nottingham Forest at home and removing them ahead of that, it really doesn't sit right with me.
Fair enough. I would take the chance because I still believe in City scoring against Sheffield. Sheffield look bad, so I would take my chances there and take out. Now, my only problem is if Foden starts up playing too wide. A lot of questions, which also we can transition to the next part of this podcast. If there's any other midfielder before we move, you want to touch upon? I think we touched upon most of it. Eze was a question. I think hold on to Eze. He looks good. He's been very talismanic for Crystal.
Yeah, I'd say hold on to Eze, and you've also like if you still have Eze, you've also experienced the price drop, so there's no particular reason you want to remove Eze. Hold on to Eze. Uh,
I
yeah, I
think
think
we
there's
need
no
to touch
other
about
priority.
one more player. I think I can see it on the list. Two more players. Odegaard. A lot of people are wanting to jump on Odegaard. I would say wait and watch. I don't think it's
Yeah,
he's not going to be a regular penalty
not at
taker.
this
So
time. You see the non-penalty XG. It's 0.11 for Martinelli, 0.15 for Odegaard. So that like both of them are not like
yeah.
good. Saka is much better than that. 0.43 still not very convincing, but Saka is much better than these two. So it doesn't make sense you to use that 0.5. If you want to remove Martinelli for another midfielder, I'd say I'd rather remove him for Foden than Odegaard. So
No, yeah.
I'd say not Odegaard for this week. And probably the other one is Madison, right?
Yeah, Madison. Just want to touch upon Madison. He's got an MCL injury. For people who don't know, it's pretty normal. It's not a serious aggravated injury. He should be back in a couple of game weeks. Could be back on the bench this game week as well, depending on
Hmm.
his situation. But
From
wouldn't
from yeah,
yeah
from Paulucci's tweet, I see that as an MCL strain, and
yeah
there's an
not an
outside chance he
injury
might
straight.
make this week as well. So
But
I'd probably bench him if you have a good bench option. So if you have say Joao Pedro in your team and you have 1.2.5 in the bank, and then you can do your 4.5, say Mubama or Archer to a Jackson, then I'd say you bench Madison this week and play a 3-4-3, because I think Madison might just be back next week. But if not, if you think you can't do that, then I'd remove Madison for Foden.
yeah, I'm on the sell side of these things because Madison usually has been like an when he gets an injury, he picks it up again and again, and he's usually not very fit quickly. I've not seen really quick turnarounds with injury concerns with regarding Madison, and I'm pretty much on the sell side. I can see an upside move there in terms of Foden. So if you have a Madison, I would really like chase the upside there and like get Madison in. That's where I am.
Probably.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's
Okay, I
about
think we've
midfielders.
touched upon, yeah.
Midfielders have been covered, but the next important talking point that we need to do is the forward section.
Yeah.
We'll jump
That's
on the
something I've also tied up. I've also been debating. I've been torn between multiple forwards this week, and
yeah.
yeah, let's touch upon it a little more.
So in terms of the forwards, I think a lot of people we have like 3 or 4 major forwards. This game we can talking about. I think Jackson, Watkins, there's Alvarez and Bisa and Pedro obviously. Now
Yeah.
with Pedro, I think I have a very clear strategy in mind. If you have Pedro as your eighth attacker, just keep him. I don't think he's a sell. If you're upgrading, you're maybe looking to upgrade. Fair enough, I think. But then again, that involves an eighth attacker upgrade, which I wouldn't be interested into. If he's your eighth attacker, I think hold, and because he's going to play at least the next 4 or 5 months, according to the reports, and see. So even if he's out for the next couple of months, he will need about a half a year time to recover. So that's the thing with him. I think we lost a bit of connection. Yeah, that's the thing with uh, Enciso. So 3 players I'm looking at. One is Jackson, obviously Alvarez. Besides that, maybe a touch upon Isaac as well. But Watkins is the remove player or the fall guy here. When you look at stats, Jackson stands out for non-pen XG. Visa is there as well, and in terms of shots inside the box, I think Visa stands out completely. But my problem with Visa is that you already have Buemo. I think he's one of the better options there because he has penalties, and the fixture this game week is too tough. Whereas and even the next two, in fact, Visa has Crystal and Newcastle in the next 3. So you're looking at 2 tough fixtures consecutively, and Jackson Alvarez on the other hand have very easy fixtures where they face Luton and Nottingham, Sheffield and Fulham. So it narrows it down for these two for me. And when I look at their stats in comparison to other players, here's what we have as of now. Uh, Obviously Jackson has no involvement, but he's got more shots, he's got more penalty area touches, and he's got more big chances. Well, he's probably more central and pivoted to the Chelsea attack, and also he's not dropping deep. When you look at Alvarez's position in the game, he's pretty much in like dropping deep. He's not taking a lot of shots. Even in the last game, he scored the goal of the only shot he took in the game. So again, I don't expect Alvarez to be extremely high scoring. He could high ceiling because he's also playing a very dynamic and different role than he usually plays as a striker. Whereas Jackson is pretty much central. He's the guy where Chelsea is trying to target at the moment, and I think that is why Jackson is pretty much the better option here.
Yeah, I think I'm probably on the same line, and I'm leaning towards Jackson. And then like my order of ranking probably would be Jackson, then Alvarez, and Vista. And I just agree with the same point. And Alvarez is just not gonna be. He's not the number 9. He's gonna play as the number 8, number 10 ish. Like,
Yeah.
so they're gonna be twin tens. And in that sense, then you can see that he's like his goal threat and assist threat are pretty much the same, and they're both not very high. And while Jackson just has not like has underperformed his XG, and I do expect him like he is due a haul. So, and Luton at home is like very ideal fixture for that to happen. I don't think against Brighton Luton looked very solid defensively, and Chelsea would want to bounce back, and this is a very ideal fixture for them to bounce back. And I see a few goals, 2 or 3 goals in this game,
So
and Jackson to be involved in at least a couple of goals.
after Haaland, I think Jackson is the guy who's highest for odds in terms of scoring a brace this game week. Although there is a caveat that I want to put out here as a Chelsea fan. Broha is back in training. For people who are wondering if he's just back, he's not. He's been training for a while, but he's back in training with the first team now. How I see this falling apart or falling in place is if Jackson I think Jackson starts versus Luton, should start versus Luton. We'll get early news on this as well. For people who held the price drop, I think it's a or price rise is a good deal. If Jackson starts, I think, and if he scores, I think he'll continue to start till the next time he doesn't manage to score or we don't win. But let's say if Jackson doesn't start against Broha, then it's sort of a problem because a lot of us have already taken the plunge on Jackson. And it's going to be a tough call because he will come on the 68th minute mark. Do we take the chance of holding on to him or playing him is one question. And second is down the line, yes, is he rotation risk? I think he is because Poch has been very vocal about this. He's also talking to Lukaku. He is very vocal that he wants Broha in his team. So there are signs that he's not very confident of Jackson going long term. So I think it's a very short term punt, but again, it is decent short term because the next 2 or 3 fixtures are very good, and then there's a very easy switch to Isaac, and that's what I'm looking at with Jackson. And if you are on that page, I think Jackson is a good option. Otherwise,
Yeah, pretty much on the same page.
yeah.
I also feel like Isak is just someone to go with after game week 6. His pictures of Newcastle are really good, and Isak does look like the first choice number 9. He is playing 70, 80 minutes for them. He's on penalties when he's on the pitch. And that's pretty much what I like about Isak. And I think Newcastle are quite attacking. And he has a .77 non-pen XG, and he played a game against City where he didn't have a single shot. So just look at this as only a single game and not the City game as well. So if you just double this and have a fixture, say one of the fixtures with say Sheffield United away or Burnley home, and that will be just 2 goals in 2 games or 3 goals in 2 games, which I quite like about Isak, and I think he is a player with high potential who probably should be starting for Newcastle game week in week out. So yeah, I like that about Isak. And firstly about Jackson, um, I don't know. You maybe as Chelsea fan you know it better, but there is a possibility that Broya and Jackson could play at the same time, right? But especially with Chukwuemeka also being injured and like Mudryk is now injured. Just there are way too many injuries that there could be a case where you play a 4-4-ish while you're attacking. But I think defensively it does look at one of them has to work more defensively for that to happen. I just on the top of my mind.
So I'd love to answer that because what is happening at Chelsea is we're not playing a left winger. We are essentially asking Chilwell to become the left winger, and Mudryk is also injured now. So that also increases the load on players as of now. The problem with the when you say up top two, it would have worked if we had Nkunku in the team. Then we could have played a 3-4-1-2 sort of a situation, and it could have
Hmm.
worked out very well. Where Chilwell is given the left wing and he can handle that left wing as well. But when you look at a 4-4-2, we don't have the quality of a left winger right now. With Mudryk injured, that also dampens it completely. I think we don't have a proper left back replacement to Chilwell as well. So tactically, that's out of the window, which is why I think Broha will eventually take up Jackson's minute. And even if he doesn't, I think even if let's say Broha doesn't start, I am expecting Jackson to be subbed out around 60-65, which is also sort of a flag. But then why take the Jackson plunge again? A lot of people asking why remove Watkins. The reason is two things I see about Aston Villa. They look good, they look decent. Obviously, a lot of lot of talking about them playing against a random team in Europe and scoring 5 goals. But the problem is how Watkins is taking positions in the box. The wingers are too fast for him. They're not playing to serve him anymore, but they're very selfish as well, and they're taking shots. They're running behind a lot, which helps Dinius crosses a lot, McGinn's position a lot. And I don't think the Aston Villa style is completely now centered to Watkins, which earlier it was. So personally, that is the only reason I want to downgrade Watkins. And also the fixtures are too much lucrative in terms of Jackson and Alvarez when you compare it to Watkins. So if you're looking for someone who to just take like 5 odd points every game week, I think Watkins is decent. He's not a bad option. But if you're chasing hauls and let's say you want to go around, because game week 6-7, I think everyone's going to jump on Isaac. That's once we know what sort of a Champions League situation they have, people will jump on Isaac. And till then, I think these are the only two players who have great fixtures, who have the potential of scoring about 12 points plus every game, and that is why I think switching from Watkins to these players could make sense. Although if you're a more conservative manager and want to stick to Watkins, there's nothing wrong against it. But again, the ceiling isn't that high when you compare it to the other two players.
Yes, I think I'm on the same page. I think Jackson has that ceiling, has that explosive potential, and with Watkins last year itself he didn't have that ceiling. I think towards the end he was quite good. He had a few games where he hauled, but he's again a player who you expect to tick along but not like get too many points. And this year that becomes more of a case, especially because that he's not the central number nine. He's not the talisman like you mentioned. He's someone who's going to be involved in link up uh, more than
Staying in the box,
like just
arriving
the
for
target
waiting for
nine,
the
just
ball. Yeah,
target
yeah.
nine. Yeah. So is he and he's like I don't think he's a great finisher as well. So there are so many different things that play into Watkins. And at this point, if you want that upside, I think just doing Watkins to Jackson makes sense. And
But
Watkins has decent fixtures where he can score. I think Burnley away, Villa will score. I think Liverpool away, Villa will score. So, but now there are more players who are probably going to score, and McGinn also is taking very promising positions. Bailey is there,
yeah,
Diaby is there. So there are quite a few players who will be involved when it comes to scoring goals. When I like Watkins is I think after game week 9 they have great fixtures. They have
yeah,
like
no
four
fixtures.
five good set of fixtures. Maybe that he can be you can move on Isak to Watkins, or you can also change your formation to 3-4-3 to have Isak and Watkins in your front three. So and at that point I think Jesus will be back, and you have quite a few options also in the forward line to move around. So at that point I think I like Watkins, but for now I think Watkins is probably leaning towards a sell. I mean he's not a forcibly like someone you want to force out, but I think there's a good upside
Yeah,
for you to chase.
he's the only player who would I would trade off. Obviously, there's Pedro, and you can keep Watkins if
It's
those are.
probably team dependent. I think
Yeah,
if you have I don't know. I feel like if you have a Haaland and Watkins and you want to hold him, I don't know. I feel like you can. It's not the worst decision. But
but I think the upside, if
as
you're
an
chasing upside,
upside chasing, I think Jackson just really looks appealing, and I think this is a game where he can kick on his Chelsea career, and scoring a goal or two in this game could earn him like a few more starts. And I don't think Broya has just come back from injury, so he's not gonna start games very soon. He might get like the last 20-25 minutes, so he's not gonna start games.
I'm I'm honestly not confident on that. I wouldn't be surprised for people who have not bought Jackson. I think if he's even going in price point one, unless you're priced out completely, hold on to
Yeah,
that move.
hold
I
on to it.
think
Yeah.
there could be some surprising news this deadline stream, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bro on the team sheet. So probably
But
hold on to it.
you'd never just throw a player who's just come back from a very like a long period off just directly into the team. There's
That's the
something
thing.
called
He's not
sharpness
just
also.
come back.
You
A lot of people are misinterpreting this that he's back with the team training,
I
but
know
he's
he's
not just
back for
come back.
first team training, but he's not had
He's played
first team
minutes. He's
minutes
played
yet.
minutes with the under 21s. He's played minutes with the
Yes,
B
but
team. I
not
think.
first team minutes, right?
Yeah, but
So
again,
like you
I
need
wouldn't be
that first team
surprised.
minutes to just slowly come back.
I, I
Probably,
wouldn't.
but I think yeah, I think I'd wait till the deadline. Then maybe yeah. So then okay. So suppose like let's look at this scenario. Deadline you get a team sheet, and you say Jackson is not starting. Then what are your ranking for the forwards?
So if Jackson is not starting, I'll hold Watkins. I wouldn't jump on either of them. I would then hold Watkins, play him, and then look at Isaac next game week directly. The other option is also going Isaac this week, but I think it's pretty much fair to just hold on to Watkins and see what the Champions League structure could look like at Newcastle and take more information. The second
For
scenario
Joe
is
Pedronas?
for Joao Pedronas, I think hold because he's pretty much nailed on to start, and I think West Ham are not that the best defense. So I'll hold. If you can get Visa, I think you can take the plunge on upgrading him, but that's also zero point 0.5, zero point 0.6 there. If you don't have the funds, fair enough. But my priority concern and my priority scenario is if Jackson, if someone has taken Jackson, which a lot of us have already because of the price rise, and let's say if he doesn't start, should we look at selling him? Should we look at playing him or benching him? There are three scenarios, and all of them are tricky enough.
Yeah, maybe I think they get. I don't know. I'd probably bench him. If you have a good bench, I'd probably bench him. I would not want to start someone who's not starting him and has not also like scored goals in the first two games. So these are two things that uh, that that I think plays in the mind when you want. I'd probably bench him. I'd probably see if I have a good bench, decent bench. I'd probably bench him. But it also depends on the bench. But I wouldn't be taking a -4 to sell him because I don't see upside in any of the other forwards to justify that -4. Maybe I'd wait for the free transfer next week, get more information. Next week I'd probably get Pisa in
And
because he
uh,
has Bournemouth home. Then he has like a few good fixtures after that.
if I was in that situation, for people who might not join the stream or want to, if in case you're in that situation, play him. My only reason is one, there is going to be extra added time. So even if he, let's say, Bruha plays about 60, he'll get about at least 30 to 40 minutes, which is bare minimum. I think the second reason is that even if Bruha starts, I don't think it's going to be a huge like 90-minute game for him right away. At top 60, I think he'll come on, and the last 30 minutes could be very open for in the Chelsea Luton game, because Luton, what I've seen from them in the Brighton game, they look like a team who tries to defend first and like is patient with behind the ball, but eventually start losing it. As soon as they concede goals, they try to go score goals. So
Hmm.
it does make the game very open, which could work two ways. If Jackson is benched, it could help him. But if Jackson starts and let's say the goals come out in the other second half where he's not on the team sheet, it could really hurt us as well. Like when he's subbed off, that could happen too. But I think if he, in case if in a worst case scenario, if he's benched right away, I think you play him, and I would take my chances against Luton in the last 30 minutes.
So if Jackson is benched, okay, yeah, that I
Yeah,
agree
I
with
would
that.
play him. If you bought him, just play him this
Hmm.
game week. I think the fixture, even
Okay.
the last 20 minutes against Luton, is a decent fixture to play against.
Probably, and yeah, that's especially if you don't have a good bench. If you have like a bench, if you have Joao Pedro on your bench,
I
then
wouldn't.
I'd probably play Joao Pedro.
No, I wouldn't.
Still no.
Exactly. If I have Joao Pedro, and I would still take Jackson as a playing part, because two reasons. A lot of people also mentioning this Ferguson in the team who could start,
Quite
which is
interesting.
a viable thing. But I think Pedro is pretty much senior in that situation, and I expect Pedro to start.
Hmm.
But again, Jackson versus Luton, and it's also because how Luton play, and I think the last 20 minutes will be much more open than the first 70, and that is why I'll take the chances.
Okay. One more question in that mix is if Jackson doesn't start and you haven't gotten Jackson, then you wouldn't sell even for Alvarez,
No, I'm
like
not
any of them.
I'm not keen on Alvarez at all. So I'm pretty
But
much
it's
either
Sheffield
Isaac.
away and Fulham at home, and you know that Alvarez is going to start these two
But
games.
I do. The problem is that there is low volume of shots, low volume of penalty area touches. There's almost bare minimum XG and XA. So I would rather get Isaac. When you look on sheet on paper, Liverpool are not the best defense, and Newcastle are a decent attack at home. So might as well go ahead of the curve and get Isaac for a week and then stick to that. I would rather do that or hold Watkins, but I'm not keen on Alvarez at all.
I probably I wouldn't
Yeah, I was in fact
totally agree with
considering.
you on that.
Yeah,
I'd probably go Alvarez in that case. I think Alvarez has two great fixtures, and then probably move on to Isak because I think there's upside for Alvarez also for the taking. We are pretty skeptical because he is not probably going to be involved as much, but especially if you think Foden is going to play wide, I think the 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 secondary in like secondary involver in that team after Haaland could be Alvarez or could be Foden. And I feel like that there is something to be taken from Alvarez as well. And I expect City to score like plenty of goals in these two games. And that's why I just feel Alvarez could be in the end of things. And I know that he's not been taking too many shots, but that's just a game against Newcastle, right? It was a decent defense, and where Haaland also blanked, and like he also didn't have too many big chances to get. I think in that sense, I would probably go Alvarez if Jackson is benched. But for me, again, I think Jackson is does come ahead of him because of his own upside. So, like, you want to rank the forwards?
yeah, yeah. I
Jackson,
think
Alvarez, Isak, and Visa.
for me it's Jackson. I would hold Watkins. Third is Isaac, and fourth is Alvarez for me. I'm pretty skeptical about Alvarez, and he has the knack of scoring goals from low XG. But again, even as a 2 game weak punt, I prefer Isaac or holding Watkins over Alvarez.
Okay. Yeah,
It also
I
it
probably think you're
and it's
speaking
also
here with
because
your team
yeah,
dependent. Huh.
yeah, it's also because of the mind because I want Foden. I think that's the more exclusive option from Manchester City.
Okay.
And if you want the third spot, I would rather take it to a City defender than take it up with Alvarez.
Hmm. I'm speaking from a point of view where I'm probably not gonna go for Ford. In that case,
Okay,
I think
in
I
that
have
case,
Jackson
maybe.
first, Alvarez second, holding Joao Pedro third. Then I think Visa and then Isak.
Yep, fair enough. I think
That's pretty much where I am.
a lot of questions about Guardiola, and let's slide into our
Let's
next
yeah,
segment, which is the defenders. We'll touch upon. We've been doing this for 3 weeks because defenders are right, left, and center getting benched and injured.
yeah.
God,
Small spoiler. I have already made my transfer, which is generally something I don't do. But with Gabriel going down, I have made Gabriel to Guardiola on like just the day before Gabriel went down. So that's something I've already done. So basically, let's start talking about
yeah,
that
you
then.
can take it up. I think you can start why Guardiola and what do you think overall about him, and about his minutes and etc.
Um, I feel quite confident with Guardiola starting because I think he had a good game against Newcastle and uh, against teams where Pep wants control of the ball, he probably start Guardiola. And there are slight odds of Guardiola also playing as the inverted. He is not tested over there yet, but I think City forums on Twitter just feel confident that at some point Guardiola could also play as the inverted. But for now, I think Guardiola does look set to start ahead of Ake in these few games as the left centre back, left back. But he can also push to the center, and Diaz could push right, and Ake could come at the left at any time. So there are a few multiple positions where Guardiola does look like he's probably going to start. Um, in isolation, I'd still go Diaz, but I wanted that point 0.5 million. I was thinking that there could be places where I would use that point 0.5 million, and that's why I didn't want to go use that point 0.5 million and go all the way to Diaz. Which is why I've gone with Guardiola now, and I don't hate the Akanji pick also. I also think Akanji has quite a good potential, but Akanji is placed in too many different positions that there's also a good equal chance for him to get benched, and which is there with Guardiola also. But I just feel a little more confident with Guardiola than Akanji. But Akanji has been starting a lot of games, so I think for the medium term, for the next three to four fixtures, I think you're in a good place to go with Ruben or Guardiola or Akanji. So that's where I am. Probably I think Ruben would be first if you have the money, and if you feel that you don't need to spend that money elsewhere. I think I'd just spend that 5.5 because Ruben is just nailed, and he's gonna start most of the games, and he's very crucial for City and like their backline. And I think Guardiola eventually will get into that position also with on par with Ruben Diaz, just because of the quality he has, just because of the commanding ability he has as a centre back, and also he could play left back, he could play the inverted. So that's where I am, and I think for the medium term, Guardiola was a good pick, which is why I went with Guardiola, and I feel like when Trippier becomes an option, I might move Guardiola like up for Trippier, or I might move Trippier from elsewhere as well. So I think I'll do that when I get to that position. But for now, I've gone with Guardiola, but I think Ruben and Akanji are also good options.
I personally am very strong and pro on Guardiola. I think he starts a lot of games because of his like diversity, where he can play different positions. I think that suits him, and his composure on the ball is too good. So something Pep likes as well. I think he starts with Akanji. I think I don't know if you guys have been reading up, but Akanji has been progressing the ball for City a lot more without Stones. The problem I don't think is as of now for the next 2 game weeks Stones is out, so I think till then these two picks are pretty much nailed. Beyond that is when the rotation would kick in. I think Akanji would still be played somewhere or the other depending on Ruben Diaz's fitness. But if there is someone that is going out, that could be Akanji first, and then Guardiola, because Guardiola could be played in the centre back. Now between Akanji and Stones, we'll only know only after Stones is back. But I think Guardiola gets tucked into the centre back position, and Akanji could be down to rotation. But again, too much of a mind like landmine sort of a situation for me to go to a City defense as of now. If I had to put my money, Guardiola for most starts, and then Akanji second. Obviously, Ruben Diaz is pretty nailed, but again, he's expensive and people don't want to pay that much. But at least till Stones is out, I think these two start almost all games.
Yeah, even I feel so. But one small thing to point out is when Stones was not there last match against Newcastle, that their formation was slightly different. Guardiola and Ruben were the two centre backs, but they were shifting a little wide, and Rodri and Akanji were the two inverted pivots, two pivots, and the two centre backs were little wide. And you saw Walker as the right wing back and Grealish as the left wing back. So this the system is gone in the absence of Stones, where you see you see three centre backs starting, which is Ruben, Akanji, and Guardiola.
Yeah.
And Walker. I think in this system, Walker is set for now because I don't think Doku comes directly and plays as like the right winger. Probably Lewis plays there. So
Yeah.
I think that's the system is gone for now. But I can see now that Pep is not gonna be there around for 2 weeks, which is another news which was
I
there this
don't
week.
think that really changes anything.
That doesn't change, but I don't know how much they'll be mixing up. There'll be like different formations. So I see a new formation every game when Man City play like off late at least, and that's something I just feel like just puts me off somewhere with that. But again, I felt confident that Guardiola is like a very good ball progressor, and these are the teams where you have low blocks and you need someone like Guardiola to like progress the ball to like distribute the ball around as well. So that's why I think Guardiola will start the next few games. Maybe after the international break, when Champions League kicks in, there might be an odd benching, which I'll take it on the chin. I think there'll be one game or 2 games max, and he'll be playing like 5 6 other games. So
Yeah, that's
that's
fair.
where I see him,
That's
and
fair.
I think I'm also looking at bringing another defender as a bench option to like replace Guardiola when he's benched. So, but I really like City. I think they've improved. They've been like elite defense for like the last few years, but they've improved from last season. That's what I see with them. They've had like what zero point 0.4, zero point 0.5 xg in both the games put together. They've conceded zero big chances. So I just think their base is 6 points, and who knows? I mean, we haven't seen Guardiola in with his attacking threat in set pieces yet, but I
Yeah.
think he's probably the giant in the back, and he's probably going to be also meeting most of the set pieces and the target person, the primary target
We'll figure
person
that
with the
out
set
mostly
pieces.
against Sheffield and Fulham.
But
Fulham
yeah,
especially.
let's see that. Let's see Fulham especially because they are not good at set pieces. So that's what I feel. I feel quite confident holding Guardiola for these 2 games at least, and then I'll see based on the decisions there. But
Let's
coming to
talk.
some of the other options,
Yeah, let's
yeah,
talk about the other options. One of the main guys, Gabriel. Let's touch upon him first. A lot of questions on
Gabriel
Gabriel.
Saliba,
Gabriel first, I
Gabriel
think.
replacement.
Yeah,
Oh
Gabriel
yeah,
replacements.
oh yeah. Let's talk about Gabriel. I think Gabriel has now dropped in price, which is done. So if you still have Gabriel, I'd advise you to hold Gabriel. So like I did Gabriel to Guardiola move before Gabriel went down in price.
I
I'm telling you to hold Gabriel for 2 reasons. One, we saw that Tomiyasu has got the red card and he's going to be suspended. And this could maybe prompt Arteta playing Zinchenko as the inverted wing back and Guardiola playing as the centre back. But again,
uh,
I mean,
Gabriel.
the other alternative, yeah, Gabriel, sorry. The other alternative I also feel is there is a slight chance that Kivior might play as the person instead of Tomiyasu, and Gabriel and Zinchenko being missing out altogether. But I think that chance is quite low. I think Zinchenko is someone who's not had a preseason, but he slowly come. He played the game behind closed doors, and now he came late in last match. I think this is the time for him to start. It's a good fixture for him to play as well. So I think this Fulham fixture, I feel pretty confident that both Zinchenko will start, and in turn Gabriel will also start.
Right.
Partey will probably be benched. And
Uh,
in that case, I think what and the other thing is Fulham are just very bad defensively, very bad attacking. So there's again, I think a clean sheet is given for Arsenal because Fulham are probably like the second worst attack out of the teams which have played 2 games, and the worst defense out of teams which have played 2 games. and also the worst from set pieces. Their XG from set pieces is the worst. Guardiola has had 3 goals. Gabriel has had 3 goals in 4 games against Fulham in the past. So all these things just put together that Gabriel holding Gabriel does make sense, especially if his price has dropped, and then you can assess and see next week where you would like to go.
I think our decision should be first independent of the price drop. Secondly, I think it's an absolutely bad idea to hold on to him for multiple reasons, in my opinion. One is, irrespective of him starting or not, it is very clear that tactically he doesn't fit into this. It is very tactical dependent, so we can't really rely on him starting, and that dilemma will continue to happen. When it comes to fixture, I think Fulham is a decent fixture, but when you look at other fixtures around the block, if you don't have Chilwell, they play Luton at home. But and Chilwell without Mudryk, he'll be more attacking. So do you really have that sort of a comparison between the two? I don't think so. Second, if you want to downgrade, Udogi plays Bournemouth. Again, a very good fixture in terms of defensive prospect and also attacking numbers. I think even more attacking than defensive. But yeah, Tottenham Udogi could be involved in one of those set pieces or attacking open play attacks. And if you want to go to a more concrete defense, I think Man City defense versus Sheffield is also a decent on paper fixture, which is not only good for goal threat and also clean sheet. So I don't see any sort of reason why Gabriel should be on hold personally, despite there being a chance that he could be played. But if let's say Zinchenko is fit, he'll be the, I think, left back, and Partey would fit into the right back where he's more suited. So again, it's down to the situation where again Gabriel could not start. Maybe they're trying him, I don't know why they're benching him, but they're trying out sort of a new situation, and I'm not really on board in terms of holding Gabriel. I think even if let's say he starts, but the alternative options are also very good. So might as well use for one free transfer there.
Yeah. I mean, my advice for holding Gabriel was just for this week.
But
And
you'll have to sell him again.
this,
So the problem is,
yeah,
next game week you sell him for there could be players who might not have the similar output or a higher output. I think this game week it suits out for the alternatives to swoop in, and I think it's a good game week to start with.
probably. But if you do have more better transfers to make elsewhere, and if you want to remove a Salah to a Foden and a Joao Pedro or someone to a Jackson, then I don't mind holding him for just another week and then assessing, and then Trippier also might just become an option because you can just go to
Yeah,
Trippier if you have the money. So
but you can go to
all these
Botman
things just
also.
play into the mind. So that's why I just feel I said I included the price drop because uh, now one of the things was to catch the price, but now that he's 4.9, he's gonna be 4.9 after this week also for your transfer. There is a good chance that he doesn't start, but I feel like how many games will Arteta just
But there's a
that'll
chance of
make
him going to
that'll make it clear that anyone gets injured, anyone gets suspended, Gabriel's not gonna start. That's not something Gabriel would like, and he's been pretty mainstay for Arteta ever since he's come in the club. So I don't know. I just feel like that. How many reasons can you find not to start Gabriel? So that's what I
it's
just
not
feel.
about that. So
I
I think
think probably can start
I'd
this.
rather put it out this way. If let's say it's for a free, I would hands down do it, because the other alternative options are also very good, and you have a good opportunity to put out points there, and it's a more long term move. If it's for a hit, I would take a chance, play him, and if he's benched, take it on the chin and sell him next game week, because then the Trippier and Botman options are much more appealing than the current option, which is obviously if you don't have Chilwell, I would still prioritize Chilwell, guys. But let's say you have Chilwell and you have Gabriel, then I would, and you have better transfers to make, and it's for a hit. I would hold on to Gabriel, because next game Trippier or Botman, they offer a much more longer term move out there. So that's something you can look out for. But
Yeah,
again,
whoever
for a
you have
free,
without, if you don't have Chilwell, he just has to be your priority as a
yeah,
transfer. But
and
this is
even on
assuming
off,
that everyone has Chilwell at this point.
no, I do. I, okay, let's put it this way: if you don't have Chilwell, would you take a hit for Gabriel to Chilwell this game? Chelsea playing Liverpool.
100%.
Yeah,
Chilwell is someone who has to be in your team. So for
especially this
Chilwell,
game
I
week,
would
for the
take,
Luton game week
yeah,
with Mudryk out.
exactly. I would take, and also the subsequent game weeks after this. Everything is assuming that Chilwell is your priority transfer. And if you have Chilwell, I think there are priority transfers in midfield and forward. That's what makes me hold on to Gabriel for one more week in a game where he could possibly start. And if he starts, there is a good goal threat, there is a good clean sheet opportunity, and probably a decent upside from someone from like Gabriel. So that's where I am with Gabriel. If you have priority transfers, you can maybe look into that. And also, if you think you can bench Gabriel for this week and look into the priority transfers, that also seems like a good idea for me.
Yeah,
So
but
I just feel
that could be an option where you can bench him and then look at other. If let's say you don't have a free transfer, you can bench him
if
and
you
then look
already
at.
have Udogi in your bench, if you
Yeah,
already have Pinnock in your bench, if you already have Botman, I mean, I would also say play Botman against Liverpool over Gabriel. So there are a few options which you can play over Gabriel and then assess him next to. And
yeah,
you might also see that if Zinchenko's back, if Zinchenko's starting game after game, which I think he eventually will, right? Because he's one of the main, like he was one of the best
yeah.
players of that inverted fullback in Arteta's team. And if Zinchenko does start, and there will be lesser reasons for Arteta to bench Gabriel. So eventually, I do see Gabriel starting more games on the run. So if you see him starting this week, then you might get like it might be a little more clear. But at this point, maybe I'll lean towards hold if there are priority transfers elsewhere.
Yeah.
But if
If
you
there
don't
is,
have Chilwell, I'd sell.
if you don't have Chilwell, I take a minus for get in the punts you want to, and then take a hit because I think Chilwell versus Luton with Mudryk out, he'll play much more attacking. He'll be given the responsibility. Everything is going down through him. So I think there could be a haul in there. You don't want to miss that. If it's
Yes.
for free, obviously do the Chilwell move. And if you don't, if you have Chilwell and if it's not for free, bench Gabriel, play him. You take a 50-50 call and then move ahead. Next game week, Trippier or Botman could be a better option overall.
Yeah, that's what I think. But when you look at the other options, if you want to downgrade, say, Stones or James, if they are still in your team, like
Yeah.
Stones or James are more of a sell than Gabriel because both of them are out, and so if you want to downgrade them, then you have a few options. You have Udogi, you have Colville, you have Henry, Pinnock, Botman, like little bit Aston Villa defense and Gusto. So there are a few options, and there might be a lot of like questions or a lot of people debating which one to go to. So let's touch a little bit on them and rank these but like budget defenders and
Yeah.
yeah.
I think for me personally, it's Botman. I think wait out if you can, even if you don't want to wait out, Botman's the guy. Udogi is second. I think I'm not looking at any other option at the moment. Even Aston Villa don't look defensively good. I expected them to be decent. Yes, I think even Dine is missing out on this list, but just
Hmm.
because he's a pure troll, we've not added him to the list. As soon as you get him, you
Also,
can't
yeah.
go
Also,
down to
I
one
think there
pointers.
there could be a bench for Digne anytime.
Yeah,
There could be there are
once
situations where Pau Torres could play left back, Carlos and Konsa could play centre back, and Cash could play right back. That could just happen. And Digne is probably like a fixture player. Like the Everton game was for Digne, and he had like just plenty of space, and he was like I looked at this game and I was like, oh Digne man, like he used to be like once he used to be a very nice pick, then he became a troll, and like when he has space, I think he's a very good chance creator. But I don't think that's gonna be the case in every game, and which is where I see with Dina. And once Alex Moreno does come back, and he just walks back from the team, so that's where with Dina. And but looking at the other
I would
options, I
just keep
think
it as Dine a troll, and that's why we've not put him into the list. And I would not be interested in buying Dine.
yeah.
My hands have been burned too many times to buy Dine, and I'm not looking at that at all.
But I'd also just add the Brentford defenders. I think they have good fixtures and they have a
Eventually,
decent
yes.
defense. So probably Henry, Pinnock are also options. I'd also agree that for me, I think Udogi would be first. Then I think probably Botman, then Colville, then the Brentford defenders.
Yeah, Colwell is decent, but again, I would wait out for the Chelsea defense to settle out. Uh,
Probably.
yeah, and I think I am going for Botman only because I know Newcastle are much more stable defensively.
Hmm.
Then Udogi because his attacking output is there, and then Henry slash Pinnock. Henry first because he's creating more chances, but either or are decent. I think both of them are not that bad options.
Hmm.
Yep, I think that pretty much covers it
I
up.
think, yeah. I think there's a small mistake. Consa's non-pen XG is not 1.28.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so that
But yeah, I
needs
just
to
wanted
get
to point it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll also touch upon the fixtures if there's anything that we look like that looks like that needs to be discussed. I think a lot of people have Pickford. I want to touch upon it. If you have Pickford and even Richarlison, I forgot that. If you have Pickford and if you have a free transfer, you have already Foden, you have Jackson. please change Pickford. Despite easy fixtures coming up, I don't see Everton keeping clean sheets. They don't look like the team who will keep clean sheets because that's not how they are trying to play. They're trying to play attacking despite not having decent defensive backers. So Pickford to Johnston is pretty much an easy move. If you have that luxury, if you have everyone you want already,
Yeah,
and it's for a
the only scenario where I'd say I'd advise you to do that is if you have two transfers and you don't have anything else to do.
yeah,
If you don't use it, you just burn your transfer. Then 100% I'd remove Pickford for Johnston for maybe Flecken, or if you have 1.5 maybe Onana.
no, I'm
Edison
looking
is
at
also someone who comes in
Johnston.
the
I'm
picture,
looking at
but
Johnston.
generally I'd like to keep it at 4.5. So
Yeah.
I probably say Johnston and Flecken are the two best options. And if you want to spend that point 0.5, then just go on. And I'd still say Edison is an avoid because I think if you want to go for a City defender, there are like you can go to Diaz or Guardiola who have a little bit more of an upside also and have bonus point potential. So that's where I think I am with Pickford. But if you don't have the luxury to remove Pickford, I think it's fine holding him. I think it's fine playing him against Wolves. And eventually you can also play Turner as make Turner as your first choice and Pickford as your second choice in your team. Turner has tricky fixtures now, Chelsea away, United away, and City away. But after that, I think Nottingham Forest have decent fixtures. And in that scenario, I think like Nottingham Forest have looked decent defensively, and I expect them to improve defensively once the fixtures clear up. So Turner could be your first choice, and
Uh,
you can keep Pickford until your wild card if you don't find a way to remove Pickford. So I just say don't panic too much about it.
I don't think I'll ever be able to trust Turner or Nottingham Forest with a clean sheet.
It's just the bed, like you made the bed. So
Yeah, I mean,
like
but
goalkeeper transfer is always a luxury, and there's not much high upside also. So I just like if you don't have that luxury, just hold on to the two picks. And now that you have these as your two picks, eventually I think Nottingham Forest are a better defense than Everton. So you probably use Turner as your first choice until you wildcard. So when you
yeah,
wildcard, you can remove your goalkeepers. It's always a luxury transfer. So yeah, I mean, mostly you're just stuck in that position that you can't like you're always not sure. And I'd surely not remove Pickford for a -4, or even like if you have one transfer, I just hold and have two transfers for next week because I think there are plenty of other positions where you might want to make moves constantly, especially this year with like a lot of good midfielders, a lot of good forwards, and you'll want to keep constantly switching between them and attack the good fixtures, right? And like in that case, I think goalkeeper transfer is really a luxury. So
yeah. It's
unless you
obviously
have
in
to
the case
burn it, you just have to.
where you just have to burn a transfer, not obviously
Yeah,
up ahead.
that's the only case I think you probably remove Pickford. Otherwise, no.
Uh,
I
so
I'd, I'd still keep him.
when I look at the fixtures, I don't think there's anything of much there. We've discussed pretty much everything. There's only one interesting scenario which I'm deliberating myself and I'm into. If you have to choose between Buemo, Watkins, and Pedro and play one, who would you play? Or play two, let's say. Who would you play?
Buemo and Watkins.
But I'm so I sort of have a different theory to it. I'm looking at Pedro and Watkins if I had to play two, and that's only
I
purely
wouldn't
because
drop Buemo. I think
yeah.
he's in superb form. And like
But
even if they score one goal, it's just not the right place to.
I'm looking at
Not
Crystal as a very
right.
good defense, and maybe it's just my data bias towards them. But that's something I was
They are a good
considering.
defense.
Yeah.
They are a good defense, but you can't drop someone who's just like in good
Between
form, and it'll backfire badly if it does.
between Watkins and Buemo, I was looking at Watkins playing benching Buemo. There would be a 4-3-3, a 3-4-3 with Jackson up top, Watkins and Haaland. Between Pedro and Buemo, I don't think I will just take the chance because West Ham can defend. I think then I will play Buemo now eventually and not go
Hmm.
against his ownership.
Hmm. No, I'd start Mbumo over the other two. uh, like
But I
primarily,
wouldn't be
but and I
surprised
would
if
look, I
he
would, I
blanks.
would look at it between Watkins and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised as well. But I think anything comes through Brentford, it would come to Mbomo. And with Watkins and Pedro, I'd say I'd wait and assess because Pedro plays for Brighton, right? And Brighton are just insanely good. They are top for XG,
Six
and they're like
XG in
top
two
for
games.
XG by a mile. Like
Yeah.
they're by a comfortable distance. So You might see them score 3-4 goals
And
again,
that's
which
what
is
I'm
where I
thinking.
think probably start Joe Pedro over Watkins. And now after this, I'm also debating whether I have to hold Joe Pedro or do Joe Pedro to Jackson. So I just think I'll wait till the deadline and
Yeah,
wait
those
for early
probably should
team
wait
news.
till that line.
Yeah, so
But
that's where I mean, and I wouldn't care about the price tag. I don't know. I think that I'm probably predicting 75 to 25 in Jackson's price tag. So there's a chance that his price is not risen also. But anyways, I don't think it matters too much. I'd probably wait till the deadline to see
yeah,
that.
but I wouldn't be surprised if people who are not joining the deadlines in tomorrow that I play Pedro over Buemo solely because I think West Ham are not that great. They're decent defensively, not the greatest team, and Brighton are just too good on attack to avoid. But yeah, with that
Probably,
we
yeah.
have pretty much everything. We'll move on to our teams quickly and take a short, quick Q&A after that.
Yeah.
First is up. My first up is my team. I think here's what it looks like. Obviously, I've not set my 11, so that will happen tomorrow. But I made one move, which is Jackson in for Watkins. That's done. My 11 will somewhat look like Pickford in goal, which I don't like. Estupinian, Chilwell, and Saliba. There's going to be Martinelli, Bruno, Buemo, Saka, Rashford, Jackson, and Haaland. Obviously, a late call on Pedro versus Buemo, but that's how the team is lining up and flaring up to. And I'll bring up your team as well quickly. This is how Akilesh's team looking like. I'll read it out for the ease of everyone. There's Turner, obviously there's Johnston as a backup. There's Chilwell, Gabriel, Estupinian. I think he's made Gabriel to Guardiola.
To Guardiola.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rashford, Saka, Bruno, Martinelli, Diego Jota, and Haaland and Pedro up top. So
Yeah,
you're looking to
I'm
start.
probably looking to move Joe Pedro to Jackson tomorrow if Jackson starts.
Yeah,
Else, I'd just be happy holding Joe Pedro and then rolling the other transfers for next week. So that's where I am for now. Captain Haaland, no doubt.
yeah. I think
I saw you captaining Nicholas Jackson. I was just like,
no, no,
are you
no.
gonna do
I'm
that?
not going to captain Lickens Jackson. Don't worry, guys. It's going to be Haaland. There's no chance I'm doing that. But I did captain Watkins. I did walk the talk last time, and he had on paper, as we predicted, that game should have gone into Watkins' hand. He should have scored like a brace there. But again, that's how Villa are
Hmm.
playing at the moment. It was probably the
Yeah,
right
he's
call and
like
not the right
it
outcome.
was also the first time I think like in a while that Watkins was subbed off in the 70th, 75th, like probably
Yeah,
keeping Europe in mind. And the first touch of John Duran once he comes in is like an Ashley Young
He-
back pass which just plays it beautifully to him. And if Watkins was there, probably that would have been a goal as well. So I think you're a little unlucky over there.
yeah. I think it was the right call overall. It was a very in terms of
Yeah.
the decision making was decent, but again, not the right outcome. A lot of people also asking us about Sanchez. I think hold on to that because we still waiting in terms of if Chelsea sign another
Chelsea are
midfielder
going to
or
sign another keeper,
yeah,
right?
no, they've signed another keeper, but I think Sanchez first choice. But in terms of another
Yeah.
midfielder or winger or number 10, so maybe just wait out. We want that we might want that third spot open. Let's say if tomorrow Chelsea clicks, Sterling looks good. As of now, he doesn't. I would stay miles off Sterling. But let's say if tomorrow he starts looking good, you want that third spot open. I think I would not jump onto a keeper because Jackson and Chilwell are pretty much nailed on in their respective positions at the moment,
And you could also look at another third defender also.
which is
I mean,
Gusto, which is
that
cheaper.
that could also be Gusto or Colville. And Sterling looked good last match, but not a goal threat. So
I
if he looks good as a goal threat, I think that's when things
I
change.
wouldn't
But I
fall.
don't see
I wouldn't fall for that.
probably. But yeah, one more player I probably would see becoming an option is Enzo. If Casado and Lavia are playing as the two pivots and Enzo plays as an attacking midfielder, that
Maybe
probably is a possibility, right? And if Enzo keeps his penalties at 5 million with set pieces, uh,
if he
could be
keeps
an
the
option.
penalties is a very big if at the moment. Yeah, I
Yeah,
basically keep the third spot open. I think Chelsea could be offering something more.
yeah. I mean, there might be a couple of different options around.
Yeah,
So you never know. And after Luton, also they have a line of good fixtures who you could go and target. So I think for now, Chilwell and Jackson are the best two shots, and then you might there are third choices who could be better than Sanchez. So and also that we discuss about the goalkeeper transfer. It's a
yeah,
luxury also. So I wouldn't do that.
yeah. Also, we quickly take up some Q&A that's in the chat. Start Mitoma or Pedro? I think I'll start Mitoma. What do you
Yeah,
think, Mitoma?
Mitoma,
Rank the keepers: Johnston, Sanchez, and Flecken. I would rank
Johnston,
Johnston,
Flecken,
Flecken,
Sanchez.
and Sanchez. Yeah, same exact three rankings. I have Udogi, Chilwell, Estupinian, and Gabriel. Replace Gabriel with who? If you have that luxury, I think I'd go Botman or Trippier. If you can bench him, wait, and then Trippier next game, it could be a better option altogether.
Yeah, in that case again, if you have a transfer to burn, then I'd say Gabriel to a Botman, or
Botman, yeah.
yeah, probably Botman. Or if you want a City defender, I think a City defender is equally decent. But I think you'd want to start the other three, so Gabriel's probably going to be a bench option. Then you might as just well, like, if you don't have two transfers, you can just bench
Bench.
Gabriel and assess that next week. Yeah.
He says that Pavit says that he's got Jota in for Bruno. This game beginning, he wants to go to. He's gotten Jota and replaced for Bruno, and now wants to bring in Foden. Should I replace Martinelli or Jota as the Liverpool or Jota overall? But Liverpool have good fixtures going ahead. I think
I think you've done your transfer probably. I just
yeah, just
hold your team.
don't go behind Foden.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Next game week you can figure out, but not this game week for a hit.
Yeah.
Guardiola or Akanji, I think we have Guardiola as first choice and then Akanji for both of us.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think for minutes, I think that's what we look. That's how we look at that.
Huh.
Watkins to Jackson or Gabriel to a defender. I think that's actually a decent question if we think about it. If you
I
don't
think
have a bench,
I'd address Gabriel. Yeah, exactly. If you don't have bench, I'd address Gabriel more because I want that position to be sorted. While I know that Watkins is someone I can rely on every week. So even though I think Watkins is still a good pick, so it's not that he's a bad pick. It's just you want to chase upside. But if you have other places to address, then I'd say finish addressing that.
yeah, I think I'm pretty much same. If you don't have a bench, I'll do Gabriel to someone and play him. Like probably a City defender, not Udogi, because I want clean. I definitely want clean sheet points. And then Jackson could be maybe a minus for luxury move for you, or next game week you can reassess things and go, because Watkins is not that bad to hold.
Yeah.
Is going 3 at the back for the whole season a good enough? I think it's great.
Yeah, I think pretty much three at the back, yeah, especially with the plethora of options
In
in
midfield
midfield
and
and
attack.
forward.
Yeah.
I don't see any time myself going four at the back.
Yeah.
And even when I get Salah, I'd probably go three at the back and have an enabler somewhere.
Is it the right time to bring Diaz into the midfield? I don't think so. We're not sure of how many minutes, or he could be rotated eventually. So I would not before Champions League
I
starts at
like the
least.
look of Diaz. I like there's no Champions League, Europa League.
Eventually,
So
Europa
I
League.
mean
Sorry.
I don't know like what kind of team Klopp will play there. Probably at the beginning it will be a second choice team. But with Diaz, I think he's looked very good in the first two games. But I think I wouldn't transfer him in now because there are better options with better fixtures and than Diaz right now. Diaz has looked decent, but I think once the next two three fixtures, will Liverpool have better fixtures, I think Diaz will automatically become a very good option. But now I think Foden is ahead of Diaz. I think Mbumo is also ahead of Diaz as priority transfers for now. And yeah, that's where I'd be. If you have both of them, then I'd say maybe Diaz. Okay, so let's address this. You have Foden and Mbumo on your team, and if you want, who's the like if you want to bring in a midfielder, who's the one who you would
Nobody.
bring?
I'll just hold on to. I'll burn the move because I don't see any other priority midfielder that I want. A lot of people talking into Diaz, but I think the fixtures turn around better around 7. And maybe if you hold
Hmm.
on till then, you can prioritize your Newcastle defense. And that's probably the time
Yeah.
you also looking to wildcard. So wait on
Yeah,
till then.
it's also that if you have Foden and Mbumo, I think you'll have either the United, Arsenal, or Mitoma. So
Yeah.
in that case, they have good fixtures, and it doesn't
And
make
you'll
sense
have to
removing
address
them.
Mitoma next game. So that's when I'll use that move out to maybe a Madison or Diaz, and I'll just hold on to for the midfield I have
Yeah.
and not jump onto
Yeah.
Diaz.
I'd give a couple of more weeks to before
Yeah,
bringing in the Liverpool
and
midfield.
also with a lot of players coming into Liverpool, you want to see how dynamically or how they are setting up, because there's a lot of players and different positions coming in at the moment. So wait at least till the transfer window ends. I think I'll wait.
Yeah.
Couple of more questions. We'll quickly take them up. Start Shaw or Saliba, or start both and bench Martinelli. I would not bench Martinelli, so that's out of the window. I think I'll bench Shaw in this case.
Hmm.
I think Nottingham
No,
have the
very
flair to score,
difficult.
but the only
But
reason is
Shaw is that like Shaw has created six chances. So
yeah.
Shaw is like he's probably gonna get a attacking haul also, like
Yeah, if you,
attacking return also. So
I'll go the safe way and play Saliba because I see a clean sheet with Fulham. I don't see it with Nottingham. if you want to attack and like chase points, Shaw probably, because he's got a higher ceiling than Saliba this game.
I think both of them have good home fixtures, and I would be like very like reluctant towards benching Saliba, but I think I would bench Saliba because purely because Shaw's attacking threat along with this. I think there's a good upside there.
Yep. Saka, Martinelli, Rashford, Buemo, Pedro, Watkins transfer two free transfers. Can I bring Foden for someone? I think I don't
No, I'd
think
hold.
I'll hold. Maybe for
I think I'll
Rashford if you
hold that
want to take a
midfield.
huge punt, but again, that's up
No.
to you. I had transferred Jota last game week. I have one free transfer. That's why I wanted to bring in Foden. I think then it's worth the move. If I had the chance of going Jota to Foden, I would make the plunge. I would take the chance there, and then yeah, because Jota has played 4 games now consecutively. Uh, I wouldn't be surprised if Darwin is given a random start against maybe the next two, not Newcastle, but the game after that. So could be there. I wouldn't take a chance. Foden has the fixtures. Foden has the numbers. I would go there. And you've also already achieved the haul from Jota. So I think taking the points, move on to the next player and take the points there. Last 2 questions. I think Martinelli or Watkins for game week 3. I would start Martinelli. Hands down.
Yeah, I guess.
Same, yeah. And Parag says last question probably Chilwell, Akanji, Botman, Saliba, Estopini, and that's the defense. Bruno, Mbuemo, Saka, Foden, Rashford. That's your midfield 5. Haaland and Jackson up top 2. So he probably needs benching help in the defense. I would bench Botman and
Bench Botman. Oh, bench Botman and probably Estupinian. I don't know. I'll be
maybe no
very
Saliba. I
reluctant
think
towards
because the
doing that.
Estopinian goal threat is too much. The way Brighton are playing and attacking, I know West Ham can score, but again I'll take the chances there
Hmm.
and play Estopinian.
Then I'd say I'd bench Akanji over Saliba. I think
Against Sheffield.
Fulham. I think Arsenal against Fulham have like I mean just almost the same clean sheet potential as City away at Sheffield, and I think Saliba has a better attacking
There's
potential.
nailed onness there, and
Nailed
Akanji.
on. Saliba has a better goal threat from set pieces, and Fulham are a worse defense conceding set pieces. So these are things that probably would put me into Saliba. So I'd probably bench Akanji there.
And last, are you doing the Foden move? Personally, I am looking at the Foden move. I am tempted, can't say no, because Sheffield look very bad. When you look at their stats, they're too bad, and they can see like shots all over the place. I'm only waiting for like the predictions of to come out, like what sort of a starting lineup could there be. If it looks like the same 3-2-4-1 sort of a situation where Foden is way too wide, then I'll be put off Foden. But if it looks like he's going to play in a 4-2-3-1 sort of a situation, then I'm pretty much interested still. So let's see. It depends on Bernardo Silva's fitness and what the prediction comes out to be. But overall, I am interested in the move.
Hmm.
Okay, with that, we'll wrap it up. I think we've answered most of your questions and most of the scenarios as well. For people asking, there will be a deadline stream, guys, tomorrow because we have to have the important Jackson news. It will be a short one, not a pretty long one, but yeah, there will be a deadline stream. So we'll see you guys there. But yeah,
Yeah.
on that note, this is the end of the preview. I think it's a decent length. I think 1 hour 30 minutes is sort of it what we touched. Any last? I think there's no last minute. See you guys tomorrow on the deadline stream. I think we'll wrap it up here. Cheers,
Yeah,
guys.
I think it's a great, like, it's too many questions this week, and I
Yeah,
hope all of our game weeks go into like a uh, better phase next week. I think it's a
yeah,
very important game week.
yeah.
Looking forward to.
Before people leave, please hit the like button. We've not been plugging that a lot during the stream because we want to focus on the content. So before you guys leave, hit the like button and leave. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you guys.
See you.